Hello, my name is Sehajpreet Kaur. Today I'm gonna discuss on a topic Indigenous people of India. I'm making a video presentation on this topic, and today I'm gonna show you some aspects of the indigenous people of India that define their history, traditions, their economy, education system, and many more things. So let's start with the Aboriginal groups in India, which is also known as Adivasi. Adivasi is a collective term for tribes of the Indian subcontinent who are considered indigenous to place within India where they live, either as foragers or as a tribalistic sedentary communities. In Hindi, the Adivasi it means original inhabitants. The term is also used for some minority groups. The people have their own personal identity, language, beliefs, and food. Adivasi study is new scholarly field drawing upon archaeology, anthropology, agrarian history, environmental history, indigenous studies, aboriginal studies. Adivasi is a collective term for the tribes of India who are considered to be indigenous people of India. People of India that are indigenous prior to the Dravidians and Indo-Aryans. It refers to any various ethnic groups considered to be original inhabitants of the Indian subcontinent. Although terms such as Atavika, one of forest dwellers, or Grijan are also used for the tribes of India. Adivasi carries a specific meaning of being original and inhabitants of given region and the self-designation of those tribal groups. The Constitution of India grouped these ethnic groups together as targets for social and economic development that defines scheduled tribes as such tribes or tribal communities or parts or groups within such tribes and tribal communities are defined under Article 342 be scheduled tribes for the purpose of the Constitution. In India, opposition the use of term is varied. Critics argued that the original inhabitant contention is based on the fact that they have a land and therefore asking for land reform. So indigenous people are the first inhabitants on India. And the next there is the demographics, which explains us more about the population of the scheduled tribes, are also known as indigenous people of India. In the demographics, according to our research, there are more than 500 tribes, which comprises nearly 9% of total population of India. Most of the indigenous people live in northern eastern states and union territories. The largest population of tribals lives in a belt stretching from eastern Gujarat and Rajasthan in the west all the way to western West Bengal, a region which is also known as Tribal Belt. These tribes correspond eastern Gujarat. Madhya Pradesh is dominated by Indo-Aryan speaking tribes like the Bahils. The central region, covering most of the Gonds and Khons. The eastern belt, West Bengal, is dominated by Munda tribes. The scheduled tribes population in Jharkhand constitutes 26.2% of the state. Tribals in Jharkhand mainly follow Sarnism. Over 60 lakh Adivasi, primarily as a tea workers, Adivasis in India mainly follow animism, Hinduism, and Christianity. This is about the demographics of the scheduled tribes of India. Then there is a origin of the indigenous people. Like it started that it has a three periods: Asian Indian period, medieval period, British period. It is believed that Asian period in ancient India, which is started from 1500 BCE to 500 CE, it is believed that there was a caste system during the origin of Hindu religion. The Dravidians and Aryans were first descents. The Meena and Gons kings used to rule at that time. Medieval period, which is start from 500 to 700 CE, during the Mughal Emperor Adivasi were forced to leave their homes and push towards the forest during 16th century. Then there was a last period when the India got the independence from the British government, which is start from 700 and it ends at the 1947 in the month of the August. Britishers included several systems, much more systems in India, such as Jagirdar and Jimidar, which gave more power to the landlords. The dispute started between the powerful and the powerless, which people, the people which don't have a land, don't have a money to buy a home or anything else, or maybe we can call them workers or labor. Adivasis lands were taken away in that time and they were forced to migrate to several parts of India. In the British period, Indian people feel more uncomfortable because they are not ruled by the Indian government. They always follow the rules of the British government. Sometimes the rules may be harsh or maybe uh, force them to leave their homes. Yeah. Next, I'm gonna talk about their language and religion. Scheduled tribes and are have more languages, but today I'm gonna make some in a slide that describe there of their five or six main languages, which is tribal languages are distinguished into five groups: Adamsi, which is known as Austro-Asiatic, Dravidian, Indo-Aryan, Sino-Tibetanian. Mm, the Adivasis mostly had Hinduism religion, which was divided into different aspects. Some were considered saints, Maharashtrians, Badu, and Brahmas. And in India, there are different parts of India which speak a different languages, but the people are very good in nature. They understand each other and they never hurt each other. They are very good in speaking and they speak with a lot of comfortness with each other. Then there is a most important step, which is for the children, it's education. In education, tribal communities in India are the least educationally developed. First generation learners have to face special social, psychological, and cultural barriers to get education. Lots of students drop out the school just before finishing secondary education. There are several reasons such as child labor, helping family with money, child marriages, etc. Some states have enhanced their schooling practice by which every community student can sit together and study. The literacy rates in Kerala, Nagaland, in Mizoram have gone high in the last few years. That like there is a much more safety for the students and there is a restriction on a child labor work. And the next there is one of the most important, which is very important for everyone to make their country on the first, and which is also known as economy. Mostly tribal people live in forest. They totally depend on the agriculture and forest for food. With improvement in road conditions, communication and interfering of government, these tribal people now make contact with outside world. they give us more comfortable comfortness to talk with each other as they learn various languages. Like as we are international students, we learn English so that we can comfortably talk with each other and learn something new, experience, explore something, explore everything that we need. So they also adapt and learn other cultures and ongoing practices. They work for rich people in their homes, fields, and factories. Indigenous people keep their families' expenditure running by working under some people or new work for their families. In the 1970s, tribal people came under the intense land pressure, especially in central India. Migration into tribal increased dramatically as tribal lost their titles to get their lands in many ways: lease, adopts, or bribery. Improve. Then there is the final blow for some tribes has come when non-tribals, through political joking, have managed to gain legal tribal status. This is to be listed as scheduled tribes. Then the literate have took many positions in fields such as political, armies, and some administrative jobs. Then the contribute to continuing economic alienation and exploitation of many others were highlighted as a systematic failure by Indian Prime Minister Manmohan Singh in 2009 Conference of Chief Ministers of all 29 Indian states, where he also cited this as a major cause of the Naxalite unrest that has affected areas such as Red Corridors. Then there are so much talk about the Adivasi people, which I also want to talk. Then there is one more thing, one more important thing, like there is a ecological threat to indigenous people and the pastime. Many smaller tribal groups are quite sensitive to ecological degradation caused by modernization. Both commercial forestry and intensive agriculture endured Sweden agriculture for many centuries, and but these modernization culture have proved destructive to the forest. Adivasi in central part of India have been victims of Salva Judum campaign by government against the Naxalite insurgency. Now there I have put some references about all of the my research on the scheduled tribes in the or also known as indigenous people in India in the photo 2009, that is retrieved from the minority rights. And next there is a hunter team Mr. 2014 that right in 2014 July 3rd scheduled tribes map that I took the consensus of 2011 that shows the demographics of the population of the scheduled tribes. Then there is many more that helps me a lot to find out the about the indigenous people of India. And this is my one of the first time make video, and I love to work on this video. Uh, it gives me a lot of information about the indigenous people of India, and when I study about the indigenous people of India, I learn so many things, explore new ways of life, how people live their lives in the past, events, how they work, how they live, about their history. So this is one of the fantastic experience of making a video presentation. And so in the last, thank you so much for giving me a chance to make a video presentation on the indigenous people of India. Thank you.